in 6th place on the West leaderboard with 40 league points. Coming from the USA, it's Nautilus from Team Dawnbreakers. How long have you been playing Shadowverse?
So I started Shadowverse during Fortune, and so that's been about 3 years for me. And as a competitor, it's been about a year or so.
What are your favorite classes to play?
Well, my top one, I would say, is Haven, because I really like decks that can play defensively, because I feel like when you have the options to defend, you can kind of be flexible between kind of attacking and defending.
If you had to simplify your playstyle down to 3 words, what would they be?
I would describe my playstyle, first of all, analyze, because I like to look into the data from competitive scenes and kind of try to find out more about the decks in the meta and kind of try to decide for myself which ones are the ones I want to play. And the second word would be flexible, because as I mentioned earlier, I really like having the option to defend as well as attack. So I really like decks that can be flexible. And the last word would be enjoy, because I bring decks that I enjoy using. Like for me in the February Cup, I bought Puppet Portal because I just like using it and I did well with it, and they just find it more successful when I'm using decks that I really like.
I like that a lot. Using the word enjoy to describe Shadowverse, it's so wonderful because it is a game at the end of the day, and even in competitions, as you said, if we're having fun, we'll be doing the best. How do you approach analyzing a meta?
So to approach the meta, I always just start out with trying out the decks for myself, because there are always things that I can find out about the deck by just using it myself. Like I can know about what the deck is good at, what the deck is not so good at, and like how much damage it can do. And there are little tricks that I can only find out by using it myself too. So I always just start out by using decks myself and kind of trying all the decks that I can use.
During the season, you joined Team Dawnbreakers. What are some of the benefits from being on a team as you prepare for SVO?
I joined Team Dawnbreakers after winning the February Cup, and it's been really helpful to be on team because it gives me a quality practice. Because on ladder, I get matched against a bunch of random decks like Bahamut Dragon, and so it's really hard to get practice against meta decks. So having teammates to kind of go against actual meta decks is really helpful. And it's also nice to have more insights and perspectives on the meta, because I can analyze the meta myself, but different people have different opinions on things like matchups and how strong the decks are. So it's good to have more opinions on that. It's also, I feel that it's a good thing to be a part of a team, not just because you can get practice off of it, but it's just nice to be just a part of a group, and it's been nice to have a place that I belong in.
So Nautilus, what was your best play this year in SVO?
I would say my best play in SVO so far would definitely be in the grand final in February Cup against Marin, when I put down 5 amulets on the board and just ignored his board. I think I had options to clear the board, but I couldn't full clear, so I just ignored it because I knew he couldn't do enough damage. But actually, kind of looking at it, I actually found that putting down the spear was actually a mistake, because if the random damage hit Yukishima, I would actually die, because he could use the evolved evasion effect from Gilneris on Yukishima to get him out of the board, and then he would have enough space for Seppi to do enough damage. So I should have just actually used shield instead, but I found it better to just getting 5 amulets on the board instead of trying to put stuff on the board.
Are there any players that you're afraid of?
Okay, so the player that I'm the most afraid of would be Olsaf, because so I know that he brings kind of weird decks in his lineup, and so I mentioned earlier that I find it better to kind of really accept the top tier decks and really practice against them. But my strategy kind of fails when my opponent is bringing really like the tier 2 and tier 3 decks in their lineup. And in the September Cup, I lost to Ramiel, who brought Dirt Rune, Vengeance, and Mech Portal, I think. So my strategy kind of fails against someone who brings really off-meta decks. Yeah, Olsaf is really scary because of his lineups.
What's your favorite play style or win condition in Shadowverse?
My favorite win condition would just be big damage from board. Like, that's one of the reasons I like using Hero Haven in the current meta. And just like creating a big board on the, and it feels good when you hit your opponent with like 10 damage or like maybe like 20 from your board, and just feels nice.
Yeah, having the big followers buffed up, like triple their normal attack going at your leader, definitely a good feeling. Do you have any advice for new players picking up Shadowverse today?
Okay, so for new players, the advice I'd have would be to just join tournaments, honestly. It's really free to join an SVO, and you get to kind of show out your skills, and even if you're not good, you can just try. Kind of, it's really good for the experience, because the competitive meta is really different from what you experience in the other. So I think it would be really fun if you join tournaments.
You've had incredible performance this season, and it seems like you've grown a lot. Are there any shoutouts that you want to give to people who have helped you along the way?
Okay, so I would like to give a shout out to my team Dawnbreakers, because it's been nice having practice against my team members, and I'm really glad that they picked me up and I found a place to belong. I would like to give another shout out to actually Jeff, because in terms of tournaments I started in the February Cup, but I feel that my journey as a competitor in Shadowverse started with the Deck contest in SVO, where I got first place, and I feel that that's really where I started, and they really cheered me on when I first made top 8 in February, so I really appreciate that.
Thanks, Nautilus. See you next time in the winner's interview, right?
Yeah. Other competitors in Contenders Cup should be afraid of me, because no one knows the meta better than I do.